Wajahat, I want to thank you for joining us. You just spent the past 6 months working on a report, Fear, Inc., The Roots of the Islamophobia Network in America. Now, you say that suggesting that Islamophobia is a big problem in the United States. Is that what you found in this report?
Well, what we found in the report is there's not a vast right-wing conspiracy. The Islamophobia Network, the research has shown, primarily responsible for manufacturing and disseminating anti-Muslim rhetoric and memes that spread throughout the network and then get mainstreamed through the media megaphone and end up now, as we see in the 2012 elections, as talking points and wedge issues for certain politicians.
Okay, because you wrote in the report, this, as you mentioned, is a small group and obscure, but they wield great influence in shaping national and international political debate. What were some of the key findings in this report?
Well, the key findings are the following. There are 7 funders who give $42.6 million to the Islamophobia Network. That's the money trail. This money primarily goes to the second category, which I call the central nervous system, which is the Islamophobia policy experts and scholars, a group of 5 individuals and think tanks who are primarily responsible for creating these manufactured memes we hear. Example, President Obama is a Muslim. Sharia is a totalitarian threat to America. Mosques are Trojan horses. There's no such thing as peaceful Islam, and practicing Muslims cannot be loyal Americans. This then gets funneled to the grassroots networks who disseminate this through their constituents, very well organized, such as Act for America that has 570 chapters and 160,000 members. They give these talking points to their local elected officials. Fox News and online websites such as Jihad Watch and WorldNet Daily serve as an echo chamber and mainstream these messages, and which then end up in the mouths of political players. A great example, the 2010 quote-unquote Ground Zero mosque controversy, which was a non-issue and is about Park 51 Community Center, which is neither a mosque nor a Ground Zero. Fox News in the spring of 2010 had on Daisy Khan, the wife of Imam Rauf, the advisor to the community center. Laura Ingraham, who was the host, said, "Hey, this sounds like a great idea. I don't think anyone will have a problem with it." Pamela Geller, the blogger from Atlas Shrugs, was the first to coin it as Mega Mosque at Ground Zero. That meme was repeated in the Islamophobia Network. Next thing you know, a national issue becomes an international issue. General Petraeus says, listen, we have to be moderate because this type of extremist ideology emboldens our enemies who use it as propaganda. So not only is this threatening to our national discourse, it threatens our national security. And what happened in April 2011, the Taliban attacked the UN building, killed 20 UN civilians, and they said their propaganda for that was, look, the West is at war with Islam, and they used the Quran burning incident of Pastor Jones, who in turn was inspired by the Ground Zero Mosque, a manufactured controversy manufactured by the Islamophobia Network.
Okay, so you have demonstrated in this one example some of the tactics that these groups are using. Right. So what's the motivation? Is it that these people really anti-Muslim, they have fear of Islam spreading in the United States, or is there some political motivation behind it?
It's a great question. As far as the funders go, we don't really know the motivations because we didn't research it, but people are free to make their own assumptions. Some of the findings were very surprising. For example, what we've seen is that the Islamophobia Network has exploited fear, hysteria, and misinformation about Muslims, and under the guise of saying that we're doing research on radicalization and national security, they have pushed an anti-Muslim agenda and really not only fooled, I think, some of the funders and the mass public, but also law enforcement officials who rely on these people and their shoddy research because they promote themselves as scholars when they're anything but. Some of these people, I believe, such as Bridget Gabriel and Pamela Geller, I believe they have an anti-Muslim really serious anti-Muslim animosity. Some of these people, I believe, are economic opportunists like Rush Limbaugh. And some of these people, I think, just need a new boogeyman. People like Frank Gaffney, who's one of the 5 of the central nervous system. His think tank, Center for Security Policy, was responsible for promoting this threat of Sharia. And Islamophobia is a lucrative cash cow. Frank Gaffney, by promoting this mythical boogeyman that all Muslim Americans are a threat, he takes home $300,000 a year.
So let me ask you this question. If this has happened before to different groups, will it then be easier for Muslim Americans to challenge this? Are there other groups that are supporting them or behind this?
First and foremost, what we had to do was expose the network for what it is. Expose the toxic ideology. Expose them for their anti-Muslim hysteria. And that's what the report does. The report, using their own words. It's thoroughly sourced. It's a fact-based report. Using their own writings, their own words, their own appearances on Fox News, we show them to have an anti-Muslim agenda. Case in point, Pamela Geller says devout Muslim Americans should not be allowed to serve in the military. This is not how we do business in America, right? If you said this about African Americans and some person was from the Ku Klux Klan, you have a right to say what you want to say in this country, but we have a right to veer the conversation towards moderation. We're not going to promote you as experts on racial relations in America, right? Because we know your agenda.
But that is what's happening. And
that is what's happening. You know, you see all these individuals I mentioned, they have given testimony to elected officials. Some of these people like Robert Spencer, his blog Jihad Watch, notoriously Islamophobic. He's the co-founder of the hate group Stop Islamization of America, cited by the ADL as promoting an anti-Muslim agenda. His book is used by the FBI to train their interns and new recruits. Why? And why are these people brought on Fox News and even mainstream media, you know, CNN, MSNBC, as neutral experts when they're anything but that? Because the story of Muslim Americans has been framed around the lens of extremism, violence, and terrorism for the last 10 years and not moved beyond it. This is why it makes it much more easy for a mass American audience to be susceptible to this type of rhetoric and propaganda.
All right, Wajahat, thank you.
Thank you so much.